The right and the Greens gain ground in European elections. Brussels. The hardest fought European Parliament elections in decades drew to a close Sunday, with the anti-immigrant far right and the pro-environment Greens both projected to gain ground at the expense of the continent's longtime political center. Turnout was estimated at a two-decade high over the 4 days of balloting across the 28 European Union countries. The elections were, while pro-EU parties still were expected to win about two-thirds of the 751-member legislature that sits in Brussels and Strasbourg, other contenders appeared headed for significant gains, according to projections released by Parliament. Exit polls in France indicated that Marine Le Pen's far-right, anti-immigrant National Rally Party came out on top in an astonishing rebuke of French President Emmanuel Macron, who has made EU integration the heart of his presidency. Le Pen said the expected result confirms. Exit polls in Germany, the EU's biggest country, likewise indicated the party of German Chancellor Angela Merkel and its center-left coalition partner also suffered losses, while the Greens were set for big gains and the far right was expected to pick up slightly more support. Turnout across the bloc, not counting Britain, was put at a preliminary 51%, a 20-year high. An estimated the balloting, which began Thursday, pitted supporters of closer European unity against those who consider the EU a meddlesome and bureaucratic presence and want to return power to national governments and sharply restrict immigration. Italy's Interior Minister Matteo Salvini, a major figure among the anti-migrant hardline nationalists, said that he felt a change. The results could leave Parliament's two main parties, the European People's Party and the Socialists and Democrats, without a majority, opening the way for complicated talks to form a working coalition. The Greens and the early projections Sunday suggested the Greens would secure 71 seats, up from 52 in the last election, 5 years ago. The Greens appeared to Germany's Manfred Weber, the candidate of the EP, the biggest party in Parliament, said the elections appeared to have weakened the political center. He said it is most. The EU and its parliament set trade policy on the continent, regulate agriculture, oversee antitrust enforcement and set monetary policy for 19 of the 28 nations sharing the euro currency. Other countries voting on Sunday included Italy, Poland, Spain, Greece, Portugal, Denmark, Sweden, Austria, Belgium, and Lithuania. Britain voted Thursday. Europe has been roiled in the past few years by immigration from the Mideast and Africa and deadly attacks by Islamic extremists. It has also seen Hungary's increasingly authoritarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, a possible ally of Italy's Salvini, said he hopes the election will bring a shift toward political parties that want to stop migration. The migration issue. Proponents of stronger EU integration, led by Macron, argue that issues like climate change and immigration are too big for any one country to tackle alone. Macron, whose country has been rocked in recent months by the populist Yellow Vest movement, had called the elections With the elections over, European leaders will begin the task of selecting candidates for the top jobs in the EU's headquarters in Brussels. The leaders meet for Associated Press writers Raf Hazard, Vasilin Tishkov in Sofia, Bulgaria. Joseph Wilson in. For more news from the Associated Press on the European Parliament elections, go to
Raindrops, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.